Alright, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Smite Super Builds. And today we got TYR. Yes, we do have TYR as requested. We had a comment saying just Norse gods, which that's a really unique comment, which I can dig it though, and also request for TYR. So funny enough, the past two other build videos, back to back, obviously, they're the third installment or the third segment for that god, like the third build video for them. This is also gonna be the third build video for TYR. So hey, we got the threes going on. So yeah, as always, I want to go over these items that we have here, and also go over optional items, and go over things for arena and things for conquest like that, and it may even go over an entirely new build. Alright, so conquest, right? So typically TYR is played in the solo lane in conquest. Casuals, though, you can see any god anywhere. I mean, TYR can be ADC for all I know, but typically you go solo lane and you pick up Bluestone Pendant as your starter item because TYR is not a basic attack based god. He relies off heavily on his abilities for damage and also clearing lanes, so Death's Toll would not really make sense. So Bluestone Pendant would be the starter item for you in the solo lane. Maybe in casual you could be like a TYR support and you could probably pick up Mark of the Vanguard, but casuals. Move along. If you know you're going to be fighting another physical god in the solo lane, which is pretty much the meta, you pick a warrior, you pick an assassin, you're fighting a solo lane, that's pretty much the thing nowadays. You may even go ahead and pick up Runeforge Hammer. It's pretty common for warriors that they know they're fighting an assassin or another warrior. They just rush Runeforge Hammer and skip boots altogether. TYR can kind of get away from boots because he has two movement abilities, or technically three if you want to count his ultimate, and also the blink and things like that. So Runeforge Hammer actually helps him a lot. Really great passive, making some of that physical protection into physical power. Because his passive on his 3, basically on which stance you are in, he gains passive buffs. If he's in defense stance, which is the blue stance, you gain more protections. So let's say if you're in that stance, you have more protections turns into more physical power, and that's how Runeforge Hammer kind of works on TYR, just to give you an example if you don't know. And then you go into Warrior Tabby. But let's say you're fighting a mage in the solo lane, right? Sometimes you can probably pick up Stone Nagaya, if you really want to counter that mage in your solo lane. Or let's just say maybe even for a league joust, the 1v1, you could probably pick that up. Or even if you're feeling really frisky, you could go ahead and go into Ansel. There it is. Ansel is a stacking item. It's one of the newer items to Smite. You can probably pick it up. It gets nice cooldown, so you can switch stances more often, and also pretty nice physical power once you get the stacks built up. But just for the sake of continuing the build, let's just pick that back up. And of course you go back into Warrior Tabby because you need some type of boots. No boot builds are not that great, honestly. Jotun's Wrath. Jotun's Wrath is a pretty nice item for TYR and for warriors that are seeking to do more damage, because it has a huge spike in cooldown reduction, which is really great for TYR because he has two different stances you want to switch between those two. You also get physical penetration because boots nowadays have no penetration, so it's good to get that in. And also follow that up with Titan's Bane for even more penetration. The next item slot after Jotun's Wrath, you can kind of mess around with it. You can pick up other things, like if you want to be, let's say a little bit more beefier for team fights early on, you could probably go into Spirit Robe or Magic's Blessings right after Jotun's Wrath. Kind of up to you. But those are really great defense items for TYR. But let's just go ahead and go with the Titan's Bane and then go into what I wanted to get into with this Spirit Robe. Spirit Robe is a really great item, sometimes overlooked. Has really high protections on it and also really great cooldown reduction. So between that and your Jotun's Wrath for TYR, you pretty much reach the cap of 40%. That is the cap. And also a really great passive for team fights. Extra mitigation for you, because TYR is a frontliner, and if TYR dies, then you do no damage, you do no CC, you do nothing. So it's not good dying. And then you can also go back, sell Bluestone Pendant, and you can pick up Magi's Busting if you really just want to be tanky. And let's say if you just go with something like this for conquest, whatever. We're on red stance right now, so we have 188 physical power, which is not too bad, and 185 physical protection and 103 magic protection. So overall, pretty balanced bruiser, right? So let's go ahead and sell that. Other optional items, I wanted to go over Winged Blade. Winged Blade is a really great all-around utility item. It's another one of those that sometimes get overlooked, but it's really great. For certain gods, the attack speed means nothing. For example, Tyr, the attack speed really means nothing, but movement speed is nice, cooldown reduction is nice, 300 HP. It's a really low costing item, 1850, and a really great passive, so it makes you immune to slows, and increases your attack speed right after you get hit with that slow. So that's a really great item. So let's go ahead and sell all this stuff and go into just a strictly all-around power-based build that I sometimes use for arena. I mean, that type of build you can use for arena, sure. Of course, you don't want to get a started item in arena. It's not too great. Same thing with Assault and Joust 3v3. Started items aren't depending which god you are. So let's go into a different build that I sometimes use just for like arena sakes. Zelkenon Dreth after boots. Hydra's Laminate, I kind of like it, but I forgot Hydra's Laminate did get nerfed. It used to be 50 physical power at the tier 3 version, but now it's reduced down to 30. So, and the passive also, I believe it got nerfed as well. So I guess it's not too great of an item. Shame, because I used to use that item a lot. I mean, you could probably still use it, but I don't know. It's kind of up to you. So let's just say it's so we can't get Hydras anymore. Let's go with something like this. Jones Wrath. Nope, wrong item. Jones Wrath. Titan's Bane. Shifters. Shifter Shields is one of the items I wanted to get into. Shifter Shields are really strong physical power items, so any gods that are physical and they rely on their abilities for damage, like let's say Bastet for example, the really great passive on Shifter Shield, if you're above the 50% health threshold, you have an additional 20 physical power on the item, so making it 60 physical power, which that's a lot. One of the highest physical power items without being a stacking item. And when you go below that health threshold, you're getting 20 protections. That is for both physical and magical, so it's a really great item for that. And then let's say you probably just finish it off with Magi's Blessing, or you could finish it off with Spear Robe. Let's just say Spear Robe. And if you look at that, you have 248 physical power and 185 physical defense and 103 magical power, or magical protection, sorry. And let's go over the actives. Actives, obviously Greater Blink, it's a staple for a tier. You always want to get some type of blink. Don't get Combat Blink. It's not that great for what tier is trying to do. It's a really long cooldown compared to Greater Blink. So pretty much the difference is, if you don't know, is just mainly the cooldown reduction. Also, Greater Blink, you're getting a 40% movement speed increase for 1 second after blinking. That gives you a little bit more speed to adjust accordingly for your Fearless combo. And the other active kind of depends on what you're doing. If you're in the solo lane, you probably get Hog, and you need to build that up in the Wrath of the Gods, just in case if your support dies and you need to get an objective, things like that. Or let's say if you're in an arena or something else like that, Greater Purification Beads is pretty nice. It just really varies on your situation. So, hope that was helpful for anybody that wanted, some ideas for a build for tier. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Yeah.